Hello and welcome back to Glastonbury Designs. In this video we are going to do some engine detail, and we're also going to do a little bit of undercarriage work. Unfortunately, I got the two videos reversed at the time of uploading, so update 3 is actually update 4 and update 4 is actually update 3. What that means is if you're following this particular build, you're going to see almost the progress be reversed in these two videos. This should be the only one this occurs with this particular car. The goal is moving forward to keep things sorted out. I'm not quite sure how I got it reversed as it is. So what I'm trying to do here is I am sizing up the wire that I'm going to use as the part for the gas filler tube to the drill bit. That way there I can drill the indentation out correctly and get that glued in place and get it cut to length. The wire is heavy enough and rigid enough that we don't need to drill all the way through, because a little bit of glue will hold everything in place. The Subaru Brat had a 12-gallon gas tank, and the particular year that we're building had a 1.6 liter engine. The 1.8s didn't come out until a little bit later down the road. The engine in automatic offered 18 to 21 miles per gallon. The engine in manual offered 20 to 26 miles per gallon. We are building the manual transmission. Now, if you were a purchaser of this car and you bought the manual transmission, you had the 4-speed manual. If you opted for the automatic, you were going to go with a 3-speed automatic transmission. So your ground clearance in this vehicle, if you wanted to do any light off-roading, would be 8.3 inches. The height of the vehicle was 56.3. Your width was 64.4, making it a pretty decent trail vehicle. The overall length was 174.2 inches, with a wheelbase coming in at 96.7. Now we get the gas filler tube glued in. Get that set ready for paint. Thought I remembered it giving me a little bit of trouble, but that seemed to have glued right in there nicely. So we've got one end on. What we're going to do is go ahead and add, this is a more liquid glue than the other. The other is a gel, and tends to flow around the gap and the seams a little bit easier. It's quite helpful when it comes to gluing things on. And it's not quite as thin as the Tamiya Extra Thin, but it does work out pretty well. And there you go. I'm going to take a look at it. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So now we're going to begin a little bit more engine work on this vehicle. The Subaru Brat was launched in 1978. That was the first year we saw that vehicle in this country. and production ran in this country from 1978 until 1987. Other countries it ran until 1993. The original engine option for this car was the 1.6 liter H4 horizontally opposed boxer engine. That engine produced 67 horsepower and 81 pound-feet of torque. And as I've stated, you can get it mated to a 4-speed manual transmission or the 3-speed automatic transmission. This car, like I have said, is the manual transmission. Now, as I'm trying to detail this car out, I do an awful lot of sizing up with the parts, trying to figure out what fits, how it fits, if I want to alter the piece that I'm working with. That's why you see me put the pieces on and off so much. Additionally, we are experiencing a pretty decent rainstorm, so I'm hoping that the thunder and lightning and the rain on the roof isn't picking up, but if it is, I do apologize. So we're just gluing up the intake on this car, on this engine. Alright, there we go. I'm going to look at it. Pretty happy with how that come out. I get a little bit of a distraction. Got to have the TV on for some background noise. So what I'm trying to show you here is obviously that's the air cleaner and the pan for it and the intake tube. I did drill that out and I ended up putting a little Panaline black down in there to indicate the opening where the air would be getting breathed through for this particular engine. A little bit of trivia further about this car. From 1978 to 1987, the production numbers were just under 100,000. And research that I did indicated 92,445 units were produced and sold. In 1980, the Brat received its first update. It got a facelift, got some styling on the outside, plus that's when they added the 1.8 liter engine. The 1.8 liter was the same design as the 1.6. It was a H4 horizontally opposed boxer. It produced 73 horsepower with 94 pound-feet of torque. Later on down the road a little bit further, a dual range transfer case was added, and there was a turbocharged variant that was added between 1983 and 1984. This put the output up to 95 horsepower and 123 pound-feet of torque. The engine's coming along nice. What we're adding right there is distributor cap. I didn't like the distributor that this came with. Plus it was attached to the fan belt and pulley assembly, which just didn't look the way it should at all. So I clipped that off, I got rid of it, and then I made my own. This is a small tube. It's just a plastic tube that we're gonna then fill in with Tamiya putty. And we give that a few days to cure or firm up, and then I come back with an extra small drill bit. Just before I drill it out, I sand off the putty because it had kind of a round on the top of it. We drill it out, and later engine detail you'll see that we add in the spark plug wires for this for this engine build. What I'm adding here is I'm adding in the coil for the ignition wire, and that gets set, and that will ultimately get painted silver along with the wiper motor that gets added in at some point in this build as well. Now, the high amount of detail that I'm trying to add, at least for my skill level currently, I'm not extremely good at. Not even sure I'm mediocre at it. But being able to achieve the level that I'm at and increase, add to the skill set, takes an awful lot of looking at reference photos, which is what you just saw me do there. I've drilled out a spot on the left-hand side back part of the block, which is roughly about where the filler tube would go for the oil. And that's what you're looking at me trying to build right there. We go ahead and get that set in place, and then I spend a long time trying to build the cap. I eventually settle on a cap that doesn't quite look right on the filler tube, but I've been fighting with it for a long time. I sanded off 3 caps before the 4th one finally worked for me, and I had broke them. I had sanded them to the point where they were flat on one side. Just nothing was working. So when I finally got one that clipped off, as you'll see later down this video, I just went with it. Basically, probably not the best approach to trying to highly detail out a car, but I just basically gave up once I had one that looked like it would work, even though, like I said, the cap is a little too large. So there I am, trying to get the cap ready. I tried to give you a look at the filler tube, but my phone doesn't really focus that well up close with some of the smaller detail. It tries to focus further out. So I'm not sure you got a good look at it, but I will be taking close-ups as the progression moves forward with this vehicle and this build. Because ultimately I do become pretty happy with how the engine's coming out. And I want to share that with everybody. So we're coming to the close of this video. So far, this has been a fun build. I've learned an awful lot. As you'll see, I learned a lot more with the airbrush moving forward. The detail that I'm trying to put into this car has pushed me to my limits in terms of building. I want to thank everybody that's followed along to this point, follows my builds. I appreciate you being there. I appreciate all the subscribers. We picked up quite a few subscribers over the course of the summer, and that means an awful lot to me and my family. If you have followed along to the end of this build, I would appreciate it if you have any advice, if you'd leave me a comment. Give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'm trying to put out some great content. I'm always receptive to the feedback, and I try to change how I do things based off of feedback that I receive. I also try to answer everybody. I appreciate you. Until we see each other again, everybody out there be safe. Everybody be blessed. Thank you for following my videos.